I'm Sarah. I'm back to give you an update on microscopic colitis, to talk about all the things on this wild, crazy chronic illness journey. And I'm very lit up today because I'm in our downstairs office and we have all the lights. So one is very well lit for one's virtual meetings because it's almost 2 years of this madness. Anyway, microscopic colitis update. So when I last talked to y'all, I was in the process of getting approval for my antibiotics. So the current working theory was that I had SIBO in addition to the colitis, and that by treating the SIBO, I would start to get a little bit better. And if you recall from that video, I actually tested negative on the SIBO test, despite the physical reactions I had to taking the test. And just a reminder that 30 to 40% of false negatives are false negatives in SIBO tests. We were operating under the assumption that was me. Big old insurance go around without that positive test. I wasn't sure if it would get covered, but my insurance came through, which is so exciting. They covered it, and that matters because it's a couple $1,000s for those antibiotics. So I do have that Canadian pharmacy. That's the backup going forward if I need anything else. But I was able to obtain the antibiotic course, special pharmacy. FedEx came one day and delivered my pills, and it's Xifaxin. It goes by different names, but that's the one that I took if you're following along and if you too are managing SIBO. So it's 3 pills a day, and it was 2 weeks. So I was really excited because I imagined, as maybe you do too, that you start taking something and you think, oh my gosh, the relief is here. And that's what I thought as I untwisted that bottle and took the pill. And I felt like absolute garbage. I felt terrible. It made everything so much worse. And I actually was expecting that. So my registered dietitian had said to me, it's possible you're going to feel worse. And she was talking about the bad bacteria and the toxins that they were releasing. And I'm going to be honest, at some point I sort of tuned out because I don't know, it's when you stare into middle distance and you start thinking about it's going to get worse and what will that be like? But I can tell you it was worse. The symptoms were a lot worse. I was in like crippling abdominal pain through part of that. And as I was lying on the couch one night, I thought it must be working because it hurts so much. It was bad. It was painful. Just all the symptoms increased, like bloating was really bad. The abdominal pain was really bad, like changes in bowel habits, gas, a little bit of nausea, not too much, which was good. It was rough. It was really rough. And then because of that, feeling more anxious and then not sleeping as well. So I was doing a lot of work with my therapist. I should really do a post about that because the mindfulness and working on some of my negative thought patterns helped me get through that. I use Calm is the meditation app that I use, and they have a couple series on pain. And so when I would be in a lot of abdominal pain, I would go and lie down and I would put one of those meditations on, and it would really help me. It really helped me with some techniques. I've been fortunate enough not to have a lot of pain over extended periods of time. I've broken bones or things like that, but then that manages really well. And if you don't know, there's a lot of pain relievers you shouldn't take if you have microscopic colitis. Tylenol is really the only one that's safe. I think in my case, ibuprofen, Advil, that exacerbated my symptoms. So that was really problematic. So I've been trying to take less or just take a little bit of Tylenol. So started taking the medication, felt like absolute garbage. And that was 2 weeks. And I finished the treatment almost a week ago. So last Wednesday was my last pill. And since then, I've been feeling better. It's not been a straight line, but I've been feeling better. What? I know. So I've been trying to support that. I'll talk about this in my supplement video. I've also been taking probiotics. probiotics have been shown to be helpful when you take antibiotics, especially to help against things like C. diff, so a really nasty bacterial infection. You're more likely to get C. diff if you're coming off from antibiotic use, especially if you're in like a care facility or a hospital. That's a key place you need to watch out for C. diff. But just in general, your body's much more susceptible when you've had an antibiotic course. So getting some probiotics, working with your physician or a dietitian. My dietitian had recommended one called A258, which are spore-based probiotics. My gut just hasn't been tolerating those well. I'm going to try again next week. But VSL number 3 is the gold standard for people with IBS or Crohn's or colitis. Again, I'm not a doctor, so talk to your provider, but VSL number 3, really look at the ingredients. If you're sensitive, a lot of probiotics, even the major ones, have gluten, have dairy, have other allergens that can be especially tricky if you have gut problems. But VSL number 3 has been amazing. I'm ramping up my dosage on that, and the whole goal is that now, and hopefully the antibiotics have cleared out a lot of the bacteria or the bacterial overgrowth. Again, bacteria not good or bad. It's about the balance, and it's about where they live in the gut. So living in the small intestine, especially the top of the small intestine, is not great. So it could be that I still have some die off, and yeah, the whole system's resetting because I've tested negative on a lot of other things. I'm just letting this ride. The abdominal pain tends to be after I eat, which is very different. So it's upper abdominal pain. It's not colitis pain. So I really am following the thought that it was something on top of the colitis, and I've got a whole bunch of appointments coming up to find out. So continue with the dietitian. I got my general practitioner, and then I have my gastroenterologist to reassess. It also could be some IBS stuff happening. So as I'm going through this, what I'm really working hard to do is to rebuild things in the gut. And this is the video that I'm going to film later this week. I promise I'm going to film it later this week, which is really how do you help supplement to support your body. It's a reminder for things like colitis. There's generally an event that triggers it, but it happens when your gut isn't healthy to begin with. That makes you much more susceptible. And as I'm starting to understand more holistically about gut health, you realize, oh, just a lot of the things that we do from a dietary perspective, there's all these general recommendations, but they may or may not be good for you. And sometimes a little bit of short-term discomfort is going to lead to a healthier gut. So I'm cautiously optimistic that things are heading in the right direction. Certainly not there. And I know that things can go up and down. I felt, if you talked to me a year ago, I would say everything's cured. A year ago, I was coming off my first course of steroids. I felt great. And my body is still recovering from steroids. It's been 5 months since I went off of budesonide. I am certainly getting better, but my body still is not where it was. My hunger is not, I don't have a lot of hunger sensation anymore. The way that my body distributes weight is still different, and it's been 5 months. So it's just a reminder that these things are powerful, and a lot of times they'll work for you in the process. A lot of people take budesonide and they're fine. And then for some people like me, we're not. So that's the update. And I would like to share a little bit more about the supplements and what I'm learning. That's a minefield, but I'll talk about, I'm taking gut supporting supplements, but then also nutritional supporting supplements because my diet is the way that I'm in month 5 now of being gluten-free, and that has been fascinating. I've learned a lot. And on the positive side, I'm cooking a lot of different things. I'm trying polenta to learn how to make polenta for the first time. But if you take out wheat and wheat products, then it kind of forces you to get creative in a good way. And also with fruits and vegetables, and still not eating fresh vegetables. It's been 5 months. Do not eat fresh vegetables, only cooked and only limited quantities. So that's why supplements are important. It's helping me heal the gut, and I'll talk about those that are gut healing. And then from a dietary standpoint, being severely deficient in some nutrients, because if the gut's not functioning well, you're not absorbing the things that you need to be absorbing. So cautiously optimistic Sarah. Today we'll see what happens. I'm just a week post course. But what I'll close is saying it's a validation to really listen to your body. I have been doing a lot of work with my therapist on my distortions, my cognitive distortions. A lot of this has been around me blaming myself for getting sick, which makes no sense. If you think about it, how would I have known that drinking water or food or this food poisoning would trigger something like this? How would I have known with steroids that my body would have gone through what it's gone through? It's not the primary way that people react. So just accepting myself where I am and realizing that there is this balance of trusting yourself and what you know from your body, and also listening to your practitioners. So I am glad that I trusted myself and said something's still not right with my body. These are different symptoms. This feels different. Just tapping into my body awareness. And then at the end of the day, this is why you work with a practitioner that has decades of experience in this field. And so I'm thankful for the practitioners that have helped me and have listened to me, because I do know, I myself, and I know many of you, I'm sure, have been not believed by a physician, or they're not really listening to you. I am the type where I keep extensive notes for myself. And I come in informed as a patient to say, here's what's happening, here's what I'm noticing, help me understand, what does this seem like to you? And so I'm thankful that I was keeping track of my symptoms, thankful that my dietitian and then my physicians listened, and then we made the antibiotics happen. So that's the update, and I'm really excited to share supplements and what I've learned, because that's been a wild journey. All right, so I hope you'll have a good day, and I'll be back soon with more updates. Bye.